The Open is coming. You know the dates, and if you're someone who's worried conditioning is holding you back, then we have the answer. The Sentinel Training 200 Plus Machine Conditioning Workouts ebook. Take the guesswork out of your conditioning pieces with a one-time payment of $40. That's less than 20 cents per workout. Choose between single implement workouts utilizing a fan bike, rower, skier, bike erg, and running, or multi-implement mixed machine workouts. You can't put a price on fitness, but we can put a price on improving yours. The Sentinel Training 200 Plus Machine Conditioning Workouts ebook. Upgrade your engine now at trainsentinel.com.
Welcome to Coffee Pods and Mods. I can make you one of those ads if you want,
Those look pretty sweet. I actually was
Yeah.
wondering what the machine workouts are now.
Well, you just have to go and buy that ebook. You can go to Sentinel Training and you can buy the
I
ebook.
was hoping
and
you're
then
going to send it to me.
you can package it off as your own stuff. That's what some other
Yeah,
coaches do. So you can just
that's
do that.
right. I'll put the label on the front of it. I came up with
Yeah,
these.
just crudely written across the front. Yeah. We were talking just before we went live. We were talking about typing. I'm quite a fast typer. Humble brag. But you were asking if I did a class in school. No, we didn't have that. We had IT, but the IT classes that we did were basically how long could you get away with playing, Minesweeper or one of
Yeah.
those
Oh, yes. I took the
without
same
the
class.
teacher noticing that you were doing it, as like they were walking around, you'd suddenly swap it out and be like, oh yeah, I'm so fast at swapping windows.
You know what we did is the snake game. Have you ever played that one on the old school computers? You know what I'm talking about? Like they only had like the old school Macs and
Yeah.
all you would do is the arrows up and down. We would do that for like 30 minutes. Teacher would walk by, you'd change it to the other setting. The keyboard when I was talking about, so there was this class when I was in high school that I failed. This was the only class that I got like lower than a B in. And I it's funny because it should have been the simplest class, but they cover the keyboard. And for those that have listened that are in the United States for sure have taken something like this, and you had to type so many words a minute. I literally had to like pick up is this orange thing covering all the letters. I'd have to keep picking it up and just poke one at a time because I was so bad at it. And to this day, I'm still not a very fast typer.
It would have been faster for you to write the letters on top of the orange thing and then
I
type.
know.
Just take
I
this,
should have.
sacrifice the time at the start. Yeah. No, I
Oh
can.
man.
It's one of my only things that it's kind of a useless skill that I have, and I don't have many skills, but I can text on an iPhone without looking at the screen and not make a mistake. Like I can text a full message while maintaining eye contact with someone, which
That's my wife.
it's incredibly ignorant, but like sometimes it's necessary. And I can type without looking down at like a keyboard.
Right.
But I never, I think I don't know how, I guess just typing in like Pornhub over and over again has shown me where all the letters are. Yeah.
It's funny you talk about like typing and still holding on a conversation. I was just listening to this podcast with Mark Zuckerberg, and he was talking about, the future is you're going to wear your glasses and you can text back through your mind or whatever
Just
while you're holding a conversation. I'm like, so we won't ever have a real conversation again at that point.
Yeah. That actually sounds kind of nice. Susan sent me. Yeah, Susan's such a good dude. He does his show like just before this one and constantly just funnels people to hear afterwards.
I love it.
So you've left training think tank. You've trained thought tank, and you've set up your own. So Redemption Athlete. I must actually go on to your Instagram and bring it up. I want to go back. So how long have you been doing? Have you always done CrossFit? Did you coach other things or train other things first and then move into CrossFit, or what happened there?
Yeah. So in college, I played football, and obviously I was in
Okay.
love with that and then field sports in general. So actually, out of college, I moved down to Florida, which is where my family's from, but I moved to the coast, so a couple hours away from them, wanted to be close. And I was a strength and conditioning coach down there, which I loved. But that world is just a grind constantly. Got connected with a couple people in the CrossFit space, and the same story that everyone has, right? Like my first workout was Fran. And obviously, I was strong at the time coming out of college, but I was like not fit at all. Didn't know how to do a kipping pull up or a butterfly pull up. Obviously, I was doing strict. Took me like 8 minutes to finish it. So that got me into it though. The pain and kind of like, oh, I accomplished something. It wasn't just going in and just doing back squats or whatever I was
Yeah.
doing at the time. So I fell in love with CrossFit, got connected with a couple people in the space, and we opened up our own facility down in Boca Raton, Florida. And through that like year and a half time frame, I got connected with Max Elhaj, who owns Training Think Tank, and came on with him. I was one of the first people that actually moved to Atlanta. This was 10 years ago now, to start Training Think Tank and like have a true headquarters there. And um, I've been at TTT until the last couple of weeks for 10 years. And I mean, I had a wonderful time and love all the coaches there. It was a great experience.
So you opened a gym in Florida, like a facility. Who was that? You and who else? Who did that?
Yeah, so my business partner, his name is Brett Williams. He played in the NFL for 6 years. He was with the Kansas City Chiefs. He was a phenomenal athlete, but like a giant, right? So he's like 6'6" and 320 pounds. He was an offensive tackle, and he also loved field sports. So when we did this, it was more like, hey, I'm going to run the CrossFit side, and I'll help you with programming for the field sport athletes. And then because of his name, he did all the field sport stuff. So the way that facility worked, I actually think it's a really profitable way of doing something because CrossFit's kind of hard as a gym owner. We would do morning CrossFit classes, PM CrossFit classes, and then during the day we would have all our field sport athletes come in. So we worked with Lynn University, which is down there in Boca Raton, and we helped their lacrosse players, their soccer, their female soccer team. We did a couple other like speed and agility camps throughout the day, and that kind of like funneled us field sport business or just like regular sports. And then we bookend that every single day with our CrossFit athletes. So it was kind of nonstop, but man, it was a lot of fun. And that's also where I kind of learned how to program for CrossFit and how to interact with people. And I think that's really where I got my passion for the sport because it was so different, as you know, or anybody that's listening, like programming for CrossFit is totally different than programming for a football player or a basketball player or golfer or whatever. And it makes it more exciting that way too. So yeah, we were doing both, and Brett and I are still really close friends. But once I really dove into CrossFit, that's when I decided to take the jump and go with Training Think Tank.
Was there much crossover with many field athletes, like kind of moving towards CrossFit as like the kind of, were they like, no, fuck that, I'm just doing my I'm doing my
Yeah.
sprints and shit.
You know what's funny is they made fun of CrossFit, and I think they still would, because like especially the higher level, we get these university students that were obviously really good at their sport. So like these lacrosse players would come in and they were extremely athletic and talented. They liked the idea of doing a hard workout every once in a while, but they'd make fun of all the movements. They're like, "Oh, you're doing like fish pull-ups," is what they would call them for butterfly, because you're just like swinging on the
Yeah,
bar,
yeah.
or doing the burpees and then going
Doesn't
over and
sound
doing
quite as
toe to bar.
elegant as butterfly pull-ups, fish pull-ups.
No,
Sounds a
exactly.
little bit more shit. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah, that's interesting. What about I know a lot of people that start working with Max, like I think Perrin and a few others went to like seminars or like talks and stuff, and a relationship kind of started. How did you come to be there so early?
Yeah, it's a pretty cool story. Actually, a close friend of both me and Max, his name is Dave. He knew Max from his OPEX days. So Max actually started
Okay.
with what now is OPEX, but OPT at the time, and James Fitzgerald and everyone else out in Arizona. So Dave had went to a couple of his seminars, and then Dave lived in Boca Raton. Well, he sold a gym, CrossFit Delray Beach, back in like 20, probably 12 or 13. And Dave came over to our gym, which was Apex Sports Performance, and we just became friends and hung out. And he's like, "You got to meet this guy, Max." And I was like, "Okay, yeah, yeah." I didn't know who he was at the time. I was like, "Yeah, sure, we'll meet him at some point." And he kept telling me that for like 2 or 3 months, and eventually he's like, "Here, I'm giving you his number. Just call him and like have a conversation." And so Max and I talked, and then obviously we kind of hit it off. And I believed in what he wanted to do. He wanted to grow his own brand, and I was excited about doing that, especially in the CrossFit space. So one thing led to another, and he decided to move from where he was to Atlanta and said, "Hey, do you want to move up and let's build this thing together?" Which was exciting, right? Like to build something new in the CrossFit space, especially at that time. Like that was 2014, where it was still, it's kind of like that old grungy CrossFit, but everyone knew that there was potential there. So we did that, and then the rest is history. I mean, it's been a lot of fun and 10 years of growing some really cool products.
Um, why did you stop then? Like, if it all like so far you said I love the coaches, it was really cool, this was great, that was great, whatever. I'm kind of like, well, why are you not doing another 10 years? Like,
Yeah,
why now?
yeah. Well, I mean, I think there's a couple of reasons. One, it wasn't necessarily, oh, I want to stop and leave. It's more like I want to pursue something else, right? Like it was, I want to grow a brand that's focused on masters athletes, for masters athletes, by a masters athlete, because I see like infinite potential and a lot of joy that can come from that. I've worked specifically with our at TTT with our Compete program, which is our kind of remote group style program. There's an app there, and there's a lot of people that are on that, and I loved every second of it. But at the end of the day, I wanted to continue to pursue the master side of it, and then also work with one-on-one athletes. And just through some natural growing pains at TTT, and some disagreements that Max and I had, I think it was the right time for us to kind of mutually separate, and we did. And so now it gives me an opportunity to pursue something that I'm extremely passionate about, which is the masters contingent in the CrossFit space. Maybe this isn't true, but from my view, working with them for the past 5 or 6 years, it seems like the masters community is kind of almost always an afterthought, right? Like most group programs, including Competes, because, and that's my fault because I built a Compete program. It's like we're focused on elites and RX athletes and everyone else. And then the masters program is kind of like this, oh, this is like addition number two, right? Like it's just kind of like everything funnels down to them. And
Yeah.
most other big brands do the same thing. Like they have their main program and that's what they support. But then masters is just like, well, we need to add this on because we have masters athletes in the program. I would prefer to make something that's like, when you look at it, it's like, this is absolute excellence, or like the CrossFit word, virtuosity. Like everything is perfect about this because it's focused for the masters athlete. Eat, breathe, and sleep masters programming, training, nutrition, recovery, peaking for masters competitions. There's not something like that out there that I can find. And so I want to create that and build a team that's passionate about it like I am.
Listen, Dylan, we're not here to talk about me. We're here to talk about Brannen. So one of the
Thanks,
best and
Dylan.
fittest and smartest guys in the pace. Patrick says Brannen is an amazing coach who cares about his
I paid Patrick to say that. Thanks, Patrick.
Yeah. When you say disagreements, then are the disagreements like about your vigor for masters and how to kind of make that a reality at think tank, and that maybe it isn't possible? Is it that kind of thing, or are we arguing about like parking spaces? Or
Yeah, parking spaces mainly. I wanted that front one right next to the door, and he always pulled his truck in there. And I'm like, come on, man, like give it to me one day. No, I
yeah,
mean, look, there were some things that we just that were outside of the training realm that we just couldn't agree on, and that's okay. Like I still respect Max, and he's a great coach, and the thing that he's done amazingly well is bring in a lot of awesome people. Like training think tank, as you know, because you know some of them, you mentioned some of them. I think have some of the best coaches in the space, and obviously I'm biased because I'm close friends with a lot of them.
well, not now.
But
Not now. You could be like, they're all a pile of assholes. They're terrible at their jobs. Now
yeah,
you're
no,
not biased.
I still genuinely think that. And I was a part of that too, right? Like I built the Compete program with Mike and with Mia, and we built that from nothing to where it is now. And I'm excited. Like I'm genuinely proud of what we did, but it just was an opportunity for me to be able to build something different, and I'm excited for that.
Was there like, would you consider yourself a founder of think tank then? If you moved to Georgia when he moved to Georgia, are you like co-founders, or how? Like, was it? Because
Well,
I'm just
I have
thinking
no
Max was
equity.
always the yeah.
Yeah, I have no equity stake in the business, so no, not in that way. But I mean, as far as building it from the ground up, I was the first person at Training Think Tank when we moved. Kyle Roos and
Yeah.
Adam Rogers were also on staff, but when we moved to Atlanta, it was like me and Max for a couple of months, and then Kyle moved, and then Adam moved, and it was just us four for a while. And then eventually we started hiring more and more coaches, and now there's 15 plus coaches and a full gym of they have a TTT CrossFit side of the gym now. So it's definitely expanded and grown to an amazing thing. And again, like there's what we did in that 10 years was really special. And I cherish every moment of it, but it doesn't mean that it wasn't time to do something else.
But it can't be easy though either, because I'm guessing, okay, so you're involved when they moved to there, but I'm guessing you were involved in the planning for the most recent move as well, and like setting up that new facility and everything. And like you mentioned the app, I mean, all that stuff, like you're involved, it's all basically your progeny. And then you're like, all right, cool. All right, I'm out, guys. Like, how long ago had you started thinking, okay, where are we now? Like January, you've set up Redemption. So how long ago were you like, maybe it's time to change something?
Yeah. Well, it wasn't just my decision. I think we made a mutual decision that things weren't going to work out. So, like, to be completely fair, if if things were up to me, it would look different. Training Think Tank would have a full, this is, we're going to go after this. I'm full time a master's programmer to build that side of the business. That would have been amazing, and maybe that will happen.
Yeah.
Maybe eventually that will happen at Training Think Tank. But the there were just, again, those things that had happened led to us deciding to split. And during that time, my passion for the last 3 or 4 years has been the masters community, because I have a ton of individual one-on-one masters athletes, a masters games champion, multiple podiums, over 70 semifinal masters athletes I've helped coach over the last 3 years. And that's kind of why I got like really bought into that side of the business. And now, because of the split, I saw the opportunity there to do something that I'm passionate about. I guess the question that I asked myself, it's funny, I came home, I sat down and was talking to my wife, and I'm like, hey, look, things aren't going to work out at Training Think Tank. There were irreconcilable disagreements between Max and I. What is next for us? And she asked, like, well, what are you passionate about? Like, what do you want to do? And there are a lot of things that maybe pay more or would get me to higher up on the corporate ladder if I jumped into something else. But at the end of the day, it was like, well, I still want to work with these athletes. And that was the hardest thing about leaving TTT, is this thing that we built and Compete. I had to leave all those athletes that I care about deeply, like have real relationships with a lot of them. Like a month ago, I was just out at the Legends Championship working with 26 athletes that qualified for their competition from Compete. And I worked with each one of them, wrote them programming leading up to it. And so now knowing, like, well, I'm separating from this, that was a really, really hard time. And to be completely honest with you, the last 3 or 4 weeks have been emotionally hard doing that, because it wasn't, again, by choice that I just decided to up and leave. I wouldn't do that to the people that were in there. But through it all, I think it's like one door closes, another door opens, and I'm excited about that.
Wh- What was like? What are you going to be able to do with Redemption that you couldn't have done while running Compete, and maybe bringing the masters like more into the center of what you were focusing on, like maybe putting them closer to the core of what you were doing, rather than like, once you recognize that they were an afterthought in what you were doing, would it not have been possible to just change things slightly in what you were doing, rather than like, what are you going to be able to do now that you couldn't have done there, if you understand what I mean?
Yeah. If I had my way, we'd be doing that at Training Think Tank. I'll put it that way. But it wasn't by choice. So I was left with one option. It was either just walk away from the space or build something special. That, that the nice thing about it is it's very agile now. It's me and just some people helping out. And hopefully as we grow, I'll be able to hire some people, maybe never as talented as Chris, because he's like the best person in the space. As far as media goes, like literally, like there's no one that's like him. I don't think there anybody that will be like him anytime soon. He's just incredible at what he made me and everyone else on our podcast and throwdowns and videos just look so much better than we are, because half of us can't talk in complete sentences, but he would edit it in a way that made us look cool. So, but that's the goal, is now that, like, again, that door closed, another door opens, and I'm just going to try to figure it out. But what could happen, to any brand that wants to really focus in on masters athletes, could pour the money into it and really grow that side of the business. And I think it's part of it is programming, figuring out what masters actually need. And when I say it's an afterthought, I'm not saying that people or programs aren't thinking about it, because they are. They know that they can bring money in. What I'm saying is like, it requires a whole different programming style truly for the masters athlete. The way that you warm them up, the way that you cool them down, the way that you program for them, the styles of movements, the contraction volume that you're giving them throughout the week, the combinations of movements. What they've tested in semifinals typically for masters or age group athletes versus individuals is a little bit different. So you need to prepare them differently for that. The season timeline is different. So, like, for example, this year is just like last year. They do semifinals, and then there's this long gap before the games. So it's basically a whole new season that someone needs to be thinking about. How do we prepare our age group athletes differently than the individual athlete, because the individual athlete may go to multiple competitions and then they got to get ready for the semifinal that they qualify for, or they're gonna do one of the sanctionals. All of that's going to be different than the masters athlete that qualifies from semifinals and now needs to prepare for the games. But in that 4 month interim, they can't just go, all balls to the wall every single day and beat themselves up 2 months out from the games. They need to have quality coaching and programming that allows them to be safe, but also progress throughout that time and then properly peak at the games time.
Is that anecdotal or like experience based, or where are you getting that? Like the difference in programming for a master's versus like if you have someone who's like say 40 versus someone who's 20, obviously there's going to be differences in volume and like recovery and like that kind of stuff. But like you talked about contract volume, like is that just through years of programming and realizing, oh shit, I'm burning this athlete out, I need to change what I'm doing? Or is like, have you studied that in specific, or have you like tested on yourself, or where are you getting that from?
Yeah. Well, all of the above. One, you can just see it through experience. I think over the last 10 years, I've made probably more mistakes than I have good decisions, but that's a good thing because you learn from them. And each mistake, you don't make it again. I've definitely done that before with both individual and masters athletes. I think every coach has. Like everything's going well, you're kind of pushing an athlete, especially in CrossFit, and then all of a sudden they tweak something or they get hurt because there's a little too much volume. The other side of it, before we talk about the science side, is that the testing body is different and what's required as far as the volume is different. So, in other words, like I did a study, it may still be up on the Training Think Tank site. I did a full webinar, I don't know, maybe 3 years ago, where I compared the differences from every single age group. And we looked at the different workouts that were tested. And so let's say the 35 to 39 age group. And let's give an example of a workout. It's a 15-minute AMRAP of 10 chest to bar pull-ups, 10 power cleans, 10 cal row, like something super simple. The amount of rounds that the 35 to 39 were getting was obviously more than the same workout, the amount of rounds that the 50 to 54 are getting. So if you think about it, there's a difference in how much volume they need to be able to tolerate at 35 to 39 versus 50 to 54. And then that means, okay, well, how do we prepare these two age groups differently to make sure that maybe they only need to be able to average 60 chest to bars in a workout in a 15-minute time span versus 90 chest to bars in that 15-minute time span. You don't need to prep this 50 to 54 athlete 90 chest to bars 2 or 3 times a week to get them ready to do 60 chest to bars. So I think about it as minimal effective dose, making sure that they're getting enough, but not too much to where you do overtrain them. And again, that's just based on the numbers. Also, you see strength. I don't want to, I mean, I guess decay, right? Like there's a drop off, a natural drop off. And it typically in the CrossFit space is like 6 to 8% every age group. So in other words, if someone cleans 315 and 35 to 39, 6 to 8% drop off in the next age group and all the way up till you get to 55 to 59. And so that's another thing of like the targets and the percentages that they're using for strength work is going to be slightly different based on the age group.
Are you looking at the same athlete across those age groups as they move up, or are you looking at the heaviest lift and the average lift, or like what are you looking at to get
The
that?
averages. So we took the top
Okay, yeah.
100 and then we took the median, the average of like the middle 100 people. So it's not perfect, but if you average those first top 100 people in the open and then the age group quarterfinals, and then we did it with semifinals, and then the same thing of like the middle, like if there was 3,000 people in that age group, we do that middle 100 and average them out and see what the averages were across. That was the drop off that we saw. And it was pretty consistent. Top 100 was kind of like 6 to 8%. And then that middle 100 was also like a 6 to 8% drop off. There are outliers 100% because there are some guys in the 55 to 59 that still clean like crazy weights, 280, 290, but most of them are closer to that 225 to 235 range now. And there are a couple that are getting a little bit stronger, and that's going to continue to change too, by the way. Like you see it now, like Will Morad just came into 35 to 39 and absolutely dominated at the Masters Games this past year.
He set up his
Because
own
he's been
fitness league. He's crazy strong.
he's unbelievable. But I mean, he still could compete at the individual level, but now he's 35 to 39, and he's just done a really good job of keeping himself healthy over the last, whatever decade. So I think you'll probably see those numbers change a little bit as better athletes and better trained athletes continue to age up. Kyle Ruth at Training Think Tank is going to be a good example of that as he ages up to 40 to 44. That's been his whole goal, right? Like he was competitive and he went to the games 35 to 39, but now he's going to move up and he's just as healthy as he's ever been. He's just as strong as he's ever been. And now he's going to be able to do some damage in that age group. You'll see that as people continue to age up in every single category.
Yeah. So are you gonna do like what, I don't know what you call it, like kind of cookie cutter programming and then separately do individualized programming, or how are you gonna work your programming?
Yeah. Yeah. So I still have my one-on-one athletes, and I'm slowly taking on
The
more and
page.
more. Oh, wow, you're pulling it up. Yeah, there's not much there right now. This is all I need your help, man. I need you to figure out how to do all that for me
I'll
because
tell
I'm
you
doing it by
what,
myself.
if anytime you go on a podcast, you make a specific post about the fact that you're going on a podcast, that's a good way to endear yourself to people. Because I don't know if anyone's ever done that for coming
Okay.
on
Well,
my show. So that's a good start.
yes, I got some feedback to do that. Do you see that shirtless picture too, by the way? What'd you think about that?
I mean, it's not
That-
offensive to look at. Do you know
Oh
what I
man.
just realized genuinely? I opened this page and I think I knew this anyway, but it just suddenly dawned on me that I'm a master's athlete. I just like struck. I was just like, masters. Then I was like, wait a minute, that's me. I was
Oh
like,
man.
I'm 36 now. This is me.
Yeah.
I'm in this.
Well, so am I,
Um,
and that's why I really wanted to jump into it. I got to get back in shape and make sure I can be competitive. I don't think I'm going to compete, but I love to throw down with the masters athletes that I have. So I don't know what you asked me. I'm sorry. I was just thinking
are you going
about
to
you
do
being a
like
masters.
individualized programming, and then is there going to be like, say, a broad strokes that like
Oh yeah,
that
yeah,
anyone can just pick and dip in on? And will it
yeah.
be? I guess I don't want to ask you two questions at once, but fuck it, I will. If you're doing like, say, general programming for that anyone can just come and do, is it split like, so if you're in this age group, this is what you do, if you're in this age group, this is what you do, and then scalings for those people as well? Or like, it seems like an awful lot of work.
Yeah. All right. So the first question, I have my one-on-one athletes and I'm continuing to take on one-on-one athletes. I absolutely love doing that. That's what we originally did at Training Think Tank, by the way. We didn't have a group program. We just did individualized coaching. And that's why I fell in love with it. It's great because you get to build a relationship. It'd be like me and you have a coaching athlete relationship. We're talking every single week. I get your feedback. I'm adjusting the programming based on your needs. We'd go through a full assessment, a movement assessment, a physiological assessment, a CrossFit assessment, all your skills, and then we write a program based on the needs that you have. I really, really do enjoy that. But the reality is you can only take on so many people if you want
Mm.
it to be a good product. The coaches that have 50, 60 clients, some have even more than that, it just becomes a copy and paste program. And if they say that
Really?
it's not like, I mean, there's just no way that you could do it well. That maybe someone
What's
can.
the
I can't.
number? What's the number, do you think?
I don't want to say a number and then have a bunch of brands get mad at me about it, but I would guess to really do it well, if you weren't doing anything else, probably 30 to 40 athletes, if that was all you were doing. If you were really sitting down, writing a good program, and then talking to them and giving them feedback every week. It's really hard to do over 40 because that's really, I mean, you need an hour to 2 hours per week per client. So, like if you were at 40 and
Yeah,
you
that's
just gave
that
them an
you're
hour,
doing
that's
eight.
40.
You're doing 8 athletes a day, basically. If
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
yeah, you're
Yeah,
hammering
and
it.
I
So,
guess you're thinking like, because you'd probably have to give more attention if you were coaching, like, say, Alexis
yeah.
versus like me. You're going to need to give more time and attention to her and her needs versus more, like, that's scalable as well. So it depends on the level of the athlete that you're talking about too, I suppose.
For sure. And like for, Adam coaches Alexis. I'm sure that it's not only the time that it takes, but he's
Yeah,
also adding extra options for her. So in other
yeah,
words,
yeah,
like maybe you're doing one session per day, which actually I'm interested because I saw your post about you were doing what is it, 10 heavy
yeah.
sets
So
a day
I
or
did. Yeah, I did last year. I did 100 burpees a day last year.
every
Um,
day?
Yeah, with myself and JR did it, and he kind of asked me if I wanted to do it on New Year's Eve, and I said yes. And oh my god, at the end of the year, God, it was just so hateful. Like in January, I was terrible at burpees and really like could feel how unfit I was. And then at the end of the year, I was quite decently good at burpees, but I just fucking hated every single rep. Just I think because I knew I was so close to finishing. Um, so yeah, and then this year he said, "Why don't we do 100 weighted reps of anything every day
I love it.
instead of the 100 burpees?" And I was like, "Yeah, okay, actually, that's good because I I neglected my strength because I was coming out saying, oh, fuck, I need to do 100 burpees. Okay, I'll just do this workout and throw the burpees into the middle of it or swap them in. Or some days I just did burpees if the kids were sick or whatever. Whereas with this, I've already I'm forcing myself to do, I'd say do 10 by 10 box squats, 10 by 10 bench, like that kind of stuff. And then also just do, you know, if I'm feeling fruity, I'll just do like 100 bicep curls or something, or you know
I
what I
love
mean? I'll
it.
just do something.
Yeah.
But then
Yeah.
it's so much easier because there was one day last year where I was sick and then my kids were sick, whatever, and I owed like 600 burpees and I just wanted to fucking kill myself. And then with this, it's actually much easier because you can just do like a, you know, a
Rotate through different.
tricep or
Yeah.
whatever, and it's not as noticeable as getting up and down off the ground 600 times.
Right.
But yeah, it's like we're only whatever 2 weeks in, but I can already feel better about what I'm doing because it's more kind of sensible or something, or there's a better end to the tunnel that I'm in rather than
Yeah.
just like this is a fucking year of burpees.
Right.
I just hate it.
But there's something
but
to
yeah, I
like.
think
Go ahead.
just to your point about like the strength decay that happens anyway. I mean, if I kept doing that, I'm just hastening that. I'm just like speeding up the process I'm just making it worse and worse and worse. And I
Well,
think a lot
certainly
of it
doing
started
burpees every day.
yeah, like a lot of it started in February. I hurt my knee and then couldn't like bend my knee for a couple of weeks and then couldn't like squat without kind of sharp pain, couldn't lunge without sharp pain. Like there's just some kind of ligament thing happening.
Yeah.
But now it's like, all right, well, I can just do deadlifts and I can like that's strength training. And I can just do like I did strict press the other day and that's strength training. Nothing more humbling, by the way, than strict 100
know.
strict press rests. I was like, all right, I'll do like 3 sets of 12 and then 2 sets of 10. I'll just do like a ladder, like that kind of way, like a pyramid or whatever. And after I did the sets of 10, I was like, fucking hell. Like I have nothing, there's nothing to
Gone.
give there.
Yeah.
It's funny. Yeah. It's the one
But
movement where you add on tiny plates and just nothing happens. You're
it's
like, what's
nothing.
the
I know.
difference? Yeah.
It really is the craziest thing because like I've tried a PR before. It's like today's the day with strict press, right? Because I have a terribly weak strict press compared to like let's say bench press or something else.
Yeah.
And we had those little 0.25 pound plates, and I'd put them on both sides. So let's say the set before was like this, like no
They're like the
problem.
little white ones, like the
Yes, yeah,
tiny
the,
plate.
the tiny
Yeah.
ones.
Yeah.
It's like a quarter or something. I'd put that on
Yeah.
there, and I couldn't get it off like above my
Yeah.
forehead. It's crazy. I was going to say one of the things that is cool about doing, let's say the 100 burpees. I know how hard that is, but did you feel accomplished? Like because you're done, you're dreading it all day, and then you finally do
Mm.
it.
I
Did it
tell you,
make you
it's
feel like
really,
you?
really, really good for adherence. So it's really
Yes.
good because I constantly reminded myself, oh, I need to like eat sensibly or continue to eat sensibly because I did burpees this morning or because I know I have to do burpees later on. I don't want to waste the burpees I did, or I don't want to feel sick during the ones or feel too full or whatever during the ones that I have to do. And that's kind of carried into this year a bit as well. But I noticed some of my hip flexors are incredibly tight, like incredibly tight. And so are I don't know, whatever the fuck these ligaments at the front of my shoulders are just outraged. Like if some, you know,
From doing all the burpees?
yeah, just from
Yeah.
constantly going up and down, like they're just so. And I think the hip flexors is from, you know, like shooting my feet underneath when I'm coming
Right.
up off the ground. Yeah, my hip flexors, like if I do like couch stretch, it's just my hold from my knee up to my chest is just like burning of like
Oh man.
tightness. Yeah, it's crazy. So I have a bit of work to do there.
I mean, you did 30,000+ burpees over the year, right?
Yeah, it's like 36 or 36,500,
36,500.
I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
insane. Uh, to go back and answer the other question, so like yeah, there's the one-on-one side. I'm going to keep that relatively low because I really do want to build out the group programming, and I want to be able
Yeah.
to give my one-on-one athletes enough attention. One of the reasons I'm doing this is to be able to actually have real relationships with the athletes that I have. And while it's nice to have a ton of one-on-one because you make more money, to be completely frank, it's not worth it if you're trying to maintain good relationships and write them good programming. On the group side, the goal would be to have different iterations for every single age group. Like ideally, you would have like this is what 55 plus is doing, this is what your 50 to 54 are doing. Right now, I just have modifications in there But if I can get it to grow, like basically everyone that's coming in now is they're coming on the ground floor. And I'm telling everyone, like, look, this is me just starting something and let's grow this together. Give me feedback. Let me know what you like, what you don't like, how you want your warm-ups written, all of those things that we can collaborate on. And like, let's build this community together where it's maybe a slow boil, but eventually we'll get it to where I can either hire people or add on to what I'm doing so that I can build something that's really special.
And have you like a place, or are you going to visit the athletes that you work? Because obviously they would have come to, I'm guessing they would have come to Think Tank. So that
Yeah.
obviously is another hurdle then, is it?
You don't think that this works back here? Like a little
Want to do
office
cabinet
space?
pull-ups?
Yeah, exactly. I actually have a nice little garage set up.
Okay.
But yeah, that's unknown right now. We're looking into some different options of possibly moving somewhere, most likely going down to Florida, obviously living in Atlanta right now. So that's going to be a big move. But that family comes first for me. And so that's going to be up to my wife and what's best for her and the kids. And, I've got three kids running
How many
around
kids
too.
do you have? Oh,
Three.
three.
Yeah,
What
six,
ages are
five, and
they?
one.
Wow. 6 and
Yeah.
5.
Yeah, back to
Are
back,
they like
man. That's
Irish
the way to do
twins?
it, though.
Okay. Yeah.
They are. They are. What about you? How many kids do you
Um,
have?
3 as well. Yeah, I have
Okay,
0, 3, and 5. So
so
not
you're in the
dissimilar.
same the same stage.
Yeah.
Is your youngest one like moving around yet?
Like my wife is very excited about the fact that he looks like he's going to start crawling, and I'm terrified of the fact that he
Yeah.
looks like he's going
Don't
to
do
start
it.
crawling. Yeah,
Don't let
I'm
them.
like, well, maybe just don't encourage him too much. Like, he'll do it in his own time. If he doesn't crawl till he's 4, I mean, who
Exactly.
cares?
It's so funny because our third was the same way. Like he was kind of starting to like get up on his knees and his hands a little bit or on his elbows and knees. And we got really excited, but then I was like, wait, I remember this stage from our 5-year-old. Because all of our cabinets, he'd rip them open and pull stuff down. And of course, that's what we're going through now because ours is walking and he's just like
Yeah,
destroying our house.
yeah. No, our middle kid is a fucking terrorist. So at the minute, we only have to watch him. Like, all right, where's he in relation to the baby? But
Hmm.
now soon we're going to have to reconcile with the fact that the baby will now also potentially move to him. So we don't need to just worry about what now we have 2 to concern ourselves with. But yeah, we're at the stage now. The 5-year-old is like fairly good. She had an absolute fucking meltdown there going to bed. I was up at her bed for about 40 minutes because she has, those Yoto boxes. It's like you put a little card in and it plays a story or a
Yeah.
podcast or whatever.
Yeah.
And she wanted to listen to Matilda, like the Roald Dahl story. But she's listened to that for the last 3 nights. And the last 3 nights at about 1 a.m., I've woken up to, like, the kids never come into our room. And I was just like, look to the side. She's like, I can't remember what chapter I was on when I fell asleep and I can't find it on the bottom. So I'd have to get up and go in and try and find
Oh
it.
no.
Then tonight going to bed, I was like, listen, you're not listening to that fucking story. Like, I'm not having this apparition coming to the side of my bed at 1 a.m.
Oh man.
But yeah, no, I'm excited. Part of me is excited for when they're like 20 and they're just their own people and are just like totally self-sustained. But then I'm consistently reminding myself of like, wishing time away and all that kind of stuff. Like
Totally.
it's kind of it's a hard reality to live in. It's a champagne problem, but it's a hard reality to live in when your kids are exhausting, but you also don't want them to grow up, but you really want them to grow up.
Right. Oh, trust me, we're in the same phase, right? But people say it and it used to annoy me. The days are long and the years are short, but it is true. Like it does go by fast. And man, when we just had our oldest, her name's Kinsley. I remember walking down the sidewalk in our old neighborhood, and I'm like carrying her, rocking her back and forth. She's crying, and this old couple came by us, and it's the same thing you always hear, but it was like it struck me in a different way. They're like, just know that that crying goes away, and then they're out of the house, and you wish you'd hear it again. And at the time, I'm like, no, I don't ever want to have to, because I was
She's been
frustrated, right?
crying
Like
for
you're
2
trying to get,
hours.
no, yeah, exactly. But it is kind of crazy of like, it does go by fast, and they are like, they're your people, and like we're called to take care of them and protect them and provide for them. And so I don't know. It's been a great joy in my life for sure.
I even get it now where like my daughter, I'll say like, oh, do you want me to do whatever, some kind of menial task? And she said, no, I can do it myself. And I'm like, oh, Okay.
Yeah. Ow.
Like, and I suddenly turn to the baby and I'm like, do you need something?
Yeah.
Let me do
Yeah, let me
something for
hold
you.
Come here, snuggle me,
Yeah.
please.
Yeah.
Uh,
So what I'm guessing, like, if you have, there's surely a lot. I know you're saying there's more money in um individualized programming, but there's sort of an aspect of like it's money for old rope with general programming where you're like, I do one program, I have 80 people that are doing it or 800 people that are doing it, versus I have 20 athletes and I'm going arduously through them one by one. Like, is there part of you that's just like, oh, fuck it, I'll just do like general because it's a lot less impact on me? And then maybe if I get to a point where I hire a coach, then I can start looking at, because it's surely a fine balance between like getting all that right, like the amount of input versus return on investment of just time. Like,
For sure. The financial return, I mean, group programming is like infinitely scalable. Maybe not necessarily in the CrossFit space because it's still a pretty small sport, but it's very scalable. Where to your point, it's the same work if you had one athlete, 100 athletes, 1,000 athletes, 10,000 athletes. So financially, that makes sense. But the one-on-one, what makes it special is the interactions, excuse me, and the people that you're working with and seeing them get to the goals that they have. It's like anything. Like I don't know. I have always been wired to like want to start a project and then like see it through and finish it and then like have this like I love cutting my grass. And it sounds silly, but it's nice knowing like it looks really bad right now, but I'm gonna go cut it and get the lines in it and then weed and trim. And I look at it at the end, I'm like, man, like that makes me proud. The same thing with a one-on-one athlete that you take them from maybe, hey, I don't have a muscle up to now they have muscle ups, or I want to make semifinals and they make semifinals. I want to make the games, they make the games. I want to win the games, they win the games. Like that kind of stuff is a lot of fun and you get just a much deeper and closer relationship with those people because you're talking to them more often than the group programming. What I'd like to do with group programming, what we try to do with compete too, is like I did my best. It's hard because you can't be on all the time, but like I was constantly in the program. We have what's called the water cooler where people can just jump on and talk. And like I was always in there just interacting and getting to know. I would check everyone's scores, kind of see where they were from, what their age was, and have conversations, message people on a regular basis because then you can build the relationships with them, but it's still not individualized programming. It's not just for them. It's a group style
yeah,
program, which works, right? Like, I mean, if you have a good program, you still can get better. It's just a little bit different. Like you said, man, I'm really my hip flexors are really tight and I'm super sore here. My shoulders, maybe I don't have good shoulder flexion. But if you came to me and you said all those things and you had certain goals, I could write focused programming to improve those as opposed with the group programming, you probably won't get any of that work. And so you have to find it on your own.
yeah. Um, what are your plans for it then? Like, do you think that this will lead to a similar, like a master's specific facility with coaches, like a redemption version of Think Tank, basically? Is that the plan with
Yeah.
it, or is that too bold a thing to hope for?
I don't think it's too bold, but I'm also like okay with it being whatever it's going to be. And maybe that
Yeah.
sounds like a cop out, but genuinely, I'm just here to continue to do the thing I'm passionate about. And so if that leads to this awesome brand where masters athletes are attracted to what we are doing and they want to build it with me, like I say, come on, like come over and help me build this thing and then have a facility and have it focused on the masters competitor, that would be a dream. If it doesn't happen, like it's not going to change my life in any way. I'll continue to work with the people that are involved in it and hopefully give them the best product I can give them.
Um, yeah, because like the Masters have so much money
Yeah.
compared to everyone else.
No, I
Like,
mean, it is true, right? Like they have families, they're established, they've worked for probably 15,
yeah,
20, 25 years. Yeah.
like if you can tap into that 65 plus, they've all got their pensions. You
I
can,
have
yeah,
someone that's
that's
70
an oil
plus
reserve.
right now too.
Wow.
So a 70-year-old, which is so much fun, man. Like those
But
are the
then
kind of
they're giving
people that
money to their grandkids. Like
that's true.
you want to be
Yeah.
the sole. Yeah, yeah. You don't want any other.
Uh, I was like, hey, can you put me in your
Yeah.
will? That'd be
Yeah,
really
yeah.
nice.
You're like writing up their programming, and then at the end of like Monday, you're like excommunicate yourself from your grandkids.
Sign this contract with me, please.
Yeah, add me to your trust fund. Yeah. Um, It is funny though, because you look at I don't know, I've never been to the Masters games. I guess it was only on like whatever this year. But I do wonder, like, do brands that go to that see a much bigger return on investment when it comes to people purchasing products? Obviously, the football is going to be different than the CrossFit games, say. But I just wonder, like, do brands that go to Legends, are they like, holy fuck, like we sold a lot more than we thought we would, because it's people that have that disposable income? I wonder, is there a discernible difference or an obvious difference for brands, or are masters athletes more sensible than, say, I know I'm a masters athlete now, but then say me, who goes, ooh, a t-shirt, and like goes and buys it? Are they more sensible? Like, do the brands not get the return that they think they will?
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that. I know
Yeah,
being a coach and going to those masters competitions, I think that athletes see the value when they know that they're cared for. Not
yeah,
to get overly cheesy, but everyone wants to know that like someone cares about them and is in their corner. And so I think some people are drawn to that, like they see brands there because they're helping their athletes. Like at the games this past year, we had I don't know what the total number was. I think it was like 13 athletes that made the games, and so it was fun to coach all of them and go around. Literally, it was just nonstop all day because the different age groups were going at different times, and that was a blast. And I think people felt like they were cared for. But as far as an athlete looking for a brand, I still think the big brands just draw the most athletes. Like what Mayhem
yeah,
does is really, really cool and really special. I have no bad words to say. Like they've built something that's amazing. And because of that, people are drawn to them. And they have good programming. Like there's nothing wrong with the programming too, but it's hard when you're a smaller brand to like, hey, all of you come over to me, because it's like, well, yeah, well, yeah, I follow Redemption Athlete, and everyone's like, who? Like they don't know that.
yeah.
Maybe they know who I am because of the voice I've had in this space as far as training think tank and our podcast and stuff, but no one knows what this is. And that's kind of the draw right now. The pitch that I'm giving is help me build it into something special, as opposed to just coming in because it is special.
Um, I missed this earlier on. Jordan Vance says, "Great dude." He paid $5 to say
Jordan,
you're a good dude.
Jordan is the man. I love that guy.
Yeah, he paid $5, and you give him $7.50, and he's in the green.
Yeah, you
Um,
got it.
with you mentioned the podcast like that. It's one of the top in the space, I think. Probably largely due to Chris, because he's just
Yeah,
incredible at what he does. Like, I mean, the content he puts out, like the videos he puts out at, the one he made at Crash, the short ones he does, the long ones he does, the athlete specific ones, just the general ideas. Like, it must be so hard to be in one place with one group of people all the time and consistently come up with, oh, hey, I was thinking we should try this, and it's a different idea. Like the photo of you on the thumbnail with the little think tank mic, like all that
right.
stuff is just all, I don't know. It's just, I don't know if I'd ever be creative enough that I can just sit in the same place and come up with different ideas all the time that are changing things. I just think it's really impressive what he does. But that podcast is very popular. And I think that was the thing that shocked me the most when I saw you post about leaving. I was like, I must have it mixed up with someone else, because I pictured you on the thumbnail of, reels and YouTube,
Right.
like front and center of media from Think Tank. And I was like, oh, I must have had that dude's name wrong, because there's no way he'd leave. And there's probably a lot of people that are in a similar position that are like, what? Like earlier on in the chat, someone said, oh, I wonder, are we going to find out why he left Think Tank? And other people were like, wait, he left Think Tank? Like, I think people will
Yeah.
probably have that feeling for a while. How did you tell, like, say, the athletes that you were working with, or if you were in charge, if you're in that water cooler, basically sounds like you had no life and you're just in that all day, every day. But if you're in there, did you just one day type in, hey guys, I've got news? Like, how do you break it to people? Because from the outside looking in, it was just like, I'm gone, bye. And
Yeah.
that was it.
Yeah.
So how did you
Uh,
kind of approach that?
Yeah. First, I got to give another compliment to Chris because you brought him up. I know I already said this, but I 100% agree. Like that, what that dude did for me and for everybody there, he makes us look so much better than we are. Like the podcast wouldn't be what it was. Those videos, he's done some other amazing ones. I don't know if you ever watched the Rux Rogue Racing video.
Yeah,
Like that one
that
was
one and
incredible. It's
the
like 40 minutes.
marathon. Was that the one with the pickle?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that one.
It
Yeah,
just
I don't think
so
I'll ever
good,
forget that.
so creative. The way that he can just make a story that maybe wasn't even that exciting, super exciting and
Yeah,
engaging. He's just incredibly talented and obviously one of my closest friends. So I love everything he and when he came into TTT, that's where everything really took off. It was like you
yeah,
needed that media guy to make everyone look to, even though maybe the vision and the brand like had some backing, he needed to take the vision and actually like, shine a light on it. Um, so yeah, as far as announcing those things, unfortunately, that wasn't able to happen. Max made the call on that, and it just became something where it was one day everything was turned off for me. So I left and that was it. And I wish that it would have went a different way. I wanted it to go a different way. I wanted to be able because again, my allegiance is to the client, the athlete, and not to the owner of the business. And so for me, it would have been nice to be able to say, "Hey, I'm going to communicate this," and it just didn't happen that way. But that's okay. And now everyone gets to know that. And people like I have no social media presence. I haven't been on social media in years until the last couple of weeks. I just don't like it. I don't like getting on it. And it's been such a blessing to have hundreds of people reach out to me and say, "What's going on? How are you doing? What happened? Blah blah blah." And again, like it's just so nice to have that encouragement and be able to tell them like, "Okay, I'm starting something new," and there are no hard feelings either way. But yeah, that's what happened.
did that leave a bitter taste then that you couldn't say anything?
Oh, extremely, extremely. But like, here's the way that I approach it is it's a new opportunity for me to just be able to start something new that's positive. Like, am I upset and frustrated by how it all went down? Of course. And that's where I would leave it. But that doesn't make anybody a bad person. It just means that that happened, and now I'm going to move on from it. Like I'm going to continue to extend grace regardless of what happened.
When you say that, so you said there that uh, it wasn't in your control and Max made the decision to turn things off for you, basically. Was that literally like you went into work on Monday or whatever and it just like couldn't do anything? Or was it like on Monday, that was your last day with us, whatever? You know what I mean? I'm just like curious about
Yeah.
because I'm trying to put myself in your position and be like, there's no way I'd be as calm as you are now. Like, there's no way. Like, I wouldn't be doing this show because I know that I'd say something that I'd probably regret in 10 years. But I know I wouldn't regret it for 10 years. I know I'd be
Yeah.
like, yeah, fuck it, I was right until 10 years are up. And then I'm like, I was probably wrong about that.
Yeah. I think that the way that I approach it again is like it's a it would be a net negative to say anything that I would regret, or a net negative to the people that I care about, which are the athletes. So like my whole thing is like now I get to be able to start something new, and that is to reach those athletes and to be able to help the people that I helped before. Um, so yeah, I mean I mean I don't have anything else to say on it, but yeah,
Yeah.
it was literally just cut off.
What are you mentioned Chris, you're close with Chris. Like, are you at the stage now where you be like, oh, I'm gonna call Adam and have a chat or whatever? Or is there like dust that needs to settle and stuff
Yeah.
first?
No, I've talked to all the people that I'm close with at TTT. I still talk to them. Had people come over to the house this past weekend. I love the coaches there, and those disagreements were solely between Max and I. They had nothing to do with the other coaches, and I love every single one of them. And I hope that they continue to succeed. Like that's
Yeah.
not. It may seem strange, but like at the end of the day, I believe in forgiveness and grace, and there are two sides to every story. The way that it was handled, I think, was poor. But like for me, it's like I'm going to continue to extend that. I asked the same would go for me if I make a mistake. Now, will it be? Who knows? Like maybe you just always get wronged. But if I know that I'm continuing to just extend forgiveness, then it's worth it to me.
Yeah. You've obviously been around a while. And fair play, obviously, like that's actually pretty impressive. Like a lot of people here are echoing that you're basically a class act, or you're pretending to be one or the other.
Yeah.
With
I'm not saying I want to be, but I know that I need to be.
yeah,
That's kind of the
I
point,
want to.
right?
I want to roll my sleeves up and get down in the mud, but this is the right thing to do. Yeah. With as long as you've been around, there's been years of change, and it's been well documented, and you guys have talked about it on the podcast a lot. And like, you kind of give season updates and reviews and competition reviews and event previews and all that kind of stuff when you were doing Corpus Animus, or Corpus Anus, as Colton called it.
Yes.
But with this year is like, maybe apart from 2019, this year is the most kind of turmoil filled year of like, there's so much different stuff happening. What are your thoughts on it? Like, when you see the World Fitness Project and stuff, are you on the side of, yes, finally we have something that is going to do X, Y, and Z, or are you like, oh, wait and see? Like, where do you sit on that kind of stuff?
Yeah. Well, I guess first I would say that I wish that CrossFit would have taken a different approach the last 5 or 6 years, but hindsight's always 2020. And I know it is for them too. Like, it's just really hard to run a good organization and do it well, especially with, hundreds of thousands of CrossFitters that all want different things and want to approach it differently. Like, to the point of like individuals and masters, and then you have all these other, the teams and the adaptive divisions. Like, everyone needs certain things, and it's really hard to accommodate all of them. So as far as the changes go, it's frustrating, but I also think it's good and it's natural for any sport to kind of continue to like have growing pains and to constantly have changes. It's just the way that they were handled seems to be probably relatively poor compared to maybe what a better organization would do. Well, I guess let's start with what's true. Fitness and fitness racing aren't going anywhere, right? People love it and people want to do it. And it's not just they want to do it at an elite level. People want to do it at the gym. You see that with the millions of CrossFitters all over the world. People still love kind of getting their hands dirty and going and doing a 10-minute AMRAP of burpees and power cleans and double unders. Even the 60-year-old guy that never wants to compete. So I don't
Hmm.
think it's going to go anywhere. It's just going to be who can make it into a legitimate sport that allows eyes to get on it and brings money in. My concern always has been, and I've said this on the Corpus Animus podcast before, CrossFit's mistake, in my opinion, was they always try to throw new movements at it to like have this novelty, but it made the athletes look bad. Like, a perfect example of this was the strict peg boards where half the females couldn't do, half the guys couldn't do it. And so it's like the best in the world can't do this movement, or the freestanding handstand push-ups and not telling them the standard until 5 minutes before the event. That's a bad look, because what happens is, like I gave this example on the podcast, my sister-in-law has never watched CrossFit, but the CrossFit Games were coming on, the replay. This was a couple years ago when they did the freestanding handstand push-up event. And I was like, hey, let's watch this. So we turn it on, and she's like, wait, all the guys are failing, right? I don't know if you remember this, but they would like kick
Yeah.
up, they'd do one, they'd walk, and then they'd fail the next one, and they'd have to start back over. She's like, these are the best in the world. This is the top 20 at this sport, and they can't do the movement. And I was like, man, that's actually a really interesting way to look at it, because I know how hard the movement is, and most CrossFitters
Yeah.
do. But the everyday person that you need to view it to build like brand awareness and to get money into the sport, she wasn't interested after that, because she's like, I'm not interested in seeing this guy who you just told me is the best in the world continue to fail freestanding handstand push-up or a strict pegboard or anything else that they put in there. I think a better alternative to that would have been, you tell them all the movements up front, you give them so many months to practice them, and you let them actually race. Is that maybe the test of fitness that they want? No, but it allows it to be viewable for not just the CrossFitter, not just me and you, but the everyday consumer that's watching on ESPN or CBS or whoever pulls the games broadcast. And because if you get those people, that's where the money is. And it's the same thing with any other sport, right? Like, golf is kind of boring to watch, but they started getting more and more viewers because they keep setting it up in a way that makes it more viewer friendly. As silly as that sounds with golf, or the MLB, they shortened the pitch count, how long you could hold the ball. They shortened it to where the games would last only 2.5 hours instead of 4.5 hours. Like, they're doing all those things to make it viewer friendly for the everyday person that maybe is sitting in the bar drinking a beer, but now they're going to turn it on there, and then they're going to turn it on when they get home. Whoever runs the sport needs to think about that first. And then,
But
I
would
know this is
that
me.
not be like equatable to, say, getting rid of the like telling athletes, okay, this, and this are going to come up at the games this year. You better be ready for it in like April. Is that not the same as saying in baseball, okay, when the ball is thrown at you, you're allowed to catch it and then hit it? Like you're fundamentally changing the game by you're changing one of the rules by so much that the test is now completely different. And what about, I mean, I get what you're saying, but I'm also kind of like, I don't give a fuck about your sister. Like, I enjoyed
Yeah.
watching like the one or two
No.
people who did make it through. I was like, holy
Right.
fuck, they actually did it. Like,
Yeah,
when I see all the best in the world failing, and then that guy gets through, fuck, that's incredible.
yeah. Well, that's the way I felt too until I started talking to other people. And then again, if it's a business problem, you
Yeah.
need people to be able to watch it. If it's just a, hey, we're going to keep CrossFit unadulterated and this is the way that we do it, it's constantly varied across broad time, modal domains, and we're always going to throw new elements at you, then fine. Like if that's what they want, but the sport's not going to grow that way. At least I don't think it will. I mean, it's proven that it's people aren't going to watch it. It's only the CrossFitters that are watching it. But if you made it where it was viewable and racing based, I think you could get people that are watching other stuff right now to watch something like that. There are a lot of sports that maybe aren't that entertaining, but they set it up in a way. F1 is like that, and golf is like that, where if me and you just sat there, it's probably not that interesting, but they keep making it a little bit more viewer friendly, and now there's these huge, massive followings behind those sports. I assume you could do the same thing for CrossFit. I could be wrong though. I mean, the CrossFitter may hate it. You may hate it then because you want to see those elements thrown at them where they fail, or at least make it where it's one thing and at least you hint at it so that they can have some practice if you have to keep it where there's a new movement every single year.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I just like the fact that I just think the CrossFit Games are for CrossFitters. Like, I think that's who they're for. And I get the argument that it's to get people into affiliates and et cetera, et cetera. But like most people that go to an affiliate aren't joining an affiliate because they want to do a freestanding handstand push-up race in Madison. Like they're
For
joining the
sure.
affiliate because they're overweight or because they've been inspired by, seeing fucking Dan Bailey and Froning and whoever else standing on the side of a pool looking jacked and think, fuck, I want that. What are they taking? Oh, they're just doing
Yeah.
CrossFit. I'm going to do CrossFit. Like I just think if the affiliates grow and the people that are in there increase, the number of people increase, then the games grows just by relationship to that. Like they're related to each other. But I don't know. I just think it's been kind of lost somewhere that I don't know, this thing of like it's a professional sport and whatever else. Like there was Spin put up a post. I actually can't. I think it was the Games put up the post about Albany, and Known and Knowable commented on it saying something about leaks, and the implication, or it was implied, it seemed to be implied, maybe I'm reading the comments wrong, but that the leaks from CrossFit are embarrassing or somehow undermine the fact that it's a professional organization or wants to be a professional sport or whatever. And I don't even know if it does want to be a professional sport, but that it's undermining that. And I was kind of like, well, first of all, I know more about the World Fitness Project than I do about the games, and I have done for 3 months.
Agreed.
So, I mean, leaks are everywhere, first of all. Second of all, people constantly compare, and it's just wrong comparing CrossFit to golf and tennis and other stuff. It just doesn't make sense to me. But you compare it to other professional sports. You turn on a news channel when they're deciding where the World Cup is going to be, and they'll tell you where the World Cup is going to be on the news channel before it's been announced. Or you read an article and it will tell you what player is going to transfer from one club to another club, or one team to another team, or, where whatever's going to be. Or you follow fucking American football, you will know the starting lineup before the press conference starts. Or someone will ask the coach a question in the press conference about like, oh, we're hearing such and such a player is going to start. Leaks are everywhere. And it's part of the reason that I love CrossFit is because there's little nuggets and little tidbits and little, did you hear this? And did you hear that? and like, oh, apparently this and apparently that. Then you piece it together, and then you get the announcements, and you're like, oh shit, I was way off, or oh shit, the stuff I heard was right. I mean, that's every single sport has that. So people judging, okay, some of the stuff is ridiculous, like Mayhem having the box step ups. I mean, that's a different kettle of fish altogether than what we're talking about with the game's going to be in Albany. But I just think it's funny. Like, I think people want it to be a professional sport, but then they forget what a professional sport actually is. Like, what other professional sports do is probably the same things that they don't like that are happening in CrossFit. I don't know. And then, like, I don't know. Like, what are your thoughts on the World Fitness Project? Like, what they're doing and the league and the guaranteed salaries and that kind of stuff.
I think it's a good step forward. It at least is guaranteeing something for the athletes that are in it. What I was going to say before is one of the concerns of any professional sport is you still kind of leave out the everyday CrossFitter. So it's just like, how do you continue to connect with them? And I know that the World Fitness Project's trying to do that. Like they're going to have some other options, and people can compete and whatever. They'll fill that gap and figure out how to do it. But I just want to make sure that, the cool thing about the games over the past is that the Open still allowed everyone to be involved. And then obviously it kind of filtered down to the best of the best by the end. And that, I think, allowed people to feel like they were a part of something bigger, which was beneficial. And I agree with you, by the way, like the leaks and all that. Like, I think that's normal in every other sport. My point is just simply like, if you want to bring money in, it's all in broadcast deals. Like the NFL, American football, it has a multi-billion-dollar broadcast deal. And obviously CrossFit will never be that. But even if it could get a tiny percentage of that by getting a viewership that can afford it, it makes sense to me to just tweak it a little bit to do that.
Yeah, it's funny as well because I remember when I was young, Formula One was pretty big on. Like, I can remember the theme tune was the guitar riff in. Fuck, what was the song? Oh my god, Fleetwood Mac, in a Fleetwood Mac song. There's like a guitar riff in a Fleetwood Mac
Yeah,
song, and that was the music for Formula One on the channel
right.
that I watched it on. And I can vividly remember, and I can remember everything about it used to be on. It was so fucking boring, like so incredibly boring. You're just looking at a fucking track and just like over and over again for what felt like 12 hours. And the reason that that's popular now is because of Netflix and because of the documentary and because you got the
Yeah,
people behind it. And everyone cares now who Max Verstappen is, or everyone thinks that the Horner guy's a fucking asshole and they hate Red Bull because of it, or whatever else.
right.
Like, the coverage itself hasn't really changed, apart from the fact that you can now hear the radios. They'll play you back something that just happened. But other than that, it's like the sport is what it has always been, and it's shown the same way it always has been shown. It's just the Netflix thing is different. So yeah, that's it. The Chain by Fleetwood Mac. Yeah, that's the song that
I
the
wouldn't
guitar
know it,
from for
man.
the theme tune.
This is one thing. Chris used to make
Um,
fun of me all the time because I don't know the names of any songs. Like I literally,
yeah,
I'm a podcast guy. I listen to podcasts
yeah.
and audiobooks.
Um, but yeah, it's just like I just feel like that's how you grow it, not necessarily because Formula One was shown for years on TV, and so many people couldn't give a fuck about it. And now
Yeah,
suddenly all those people are obsessed with it, and the reason they're obsessed with, the reason they're sitting down and pretending they're enjoying watching the actual Grand Prix is because of the documentaries and because of the show. Like, I've never watched a Formula One race since I was about 9, but I've watched every season of Drive to Survive, and I'm like, oh shit, the season's over. That means I'm going to have a documentary to watch in about 5 weeks or whatever, or this new
right.
season's about to start. That means whatever. Whereas in CrossFit, you have, oh, the new season's over. Oh, the documentary from last year is coming out now. That
Yeah,
is
right,
like,
right.
that's the stuff that needs to be
Well, hold
fixed,
on.
I
So
think, rather than the known
let
and
me ask
knowable
you. So
stuff.
if that was fixed, if you had some like a great media team that could build this amazing Netflix style special that's just as good as what they've done with because they've done that with golf too on Netflix, right? They had I don't know I can't remember what it's called, but
They
the sa-
should have, to be honest, they should have fucking called that Drive to Survive too, because you drive in golf
yeah,
as well. But anyway, that's a
right,
second
right.
point.
But both of them are really good, right? And even if you don't
Yeah.
care about it, you get invested in the people and the storylines. If they did that, someone that was really Chris could do something like that, and he put it on Netflix. They produced it. Would that grow the sport?
I honestly think it will, and I think they were headed there. I think they were
Yeah.
on that sort of trajectory. Like, how many people talk about the Netflix documentaries or the Froning documentary, or how many people reference those as reasons that they went to an affiliate or that they discovered it or whatever. I think they were heading for that. They were on that trajectory, and then Greg just tanked the media team. And then since then, it's just been all these separate things starting up, trying to do their own stuff. But it is like, I just think if they can nail that side of things, it's a much easier fix than like professionalizing the sport and all that kind of stuff. I think nailing that side of it makes it so much easier for so many more people to discover the sport, and then to discover like, oh fuck, there's a gym in my, like, imagine that documentary, like the Drive to Survive, but it's CrossFit, and then at the end it just says like CrossFit.com, like find your local affiliate at CrossFit.com at the end of every single one, and think of how many people, even a tiny percentage of people do it from Netflix. It's a shit ton of people.
Right. Why do you think it takes so long to get a documentary out now? Because that is one of the problems, right? Like, you're hearing this storyline, but it's like after all of the fanfare has faded.
I think releasing the documentary before the new season starts is fine. I think if you put the documentary out, like Savan's Behind the Scenes came out in like January, February, and it's gather it's going to come out soon enough now too. Like January, February, heading towards the Open, which makes perfect sense. And I think the documentaries coming out, they kind of historically came out in like June, didn't they? Or like just before the actual games.
I mean, it's like it seems, like a bad time.
Which makes sense if your only goal is to get people to watch ESPN or whatever it's on. But I think if your goal is to get people to sign up for the Open, it should be coming out in January, February. Like, that's the sensible time for it to come out, which is one change they could make. Why is it taking so long? Probably because they're hiring like some company to do it or whatever, some separate entity to do it, rather than saying, like, if you imagine if they said to Chris and Savan and I don't know, whoever else, they just picked the 5 best people, Hiller, like the 5 best people they know that make
incredible.
videos, and just said, all right, we're going to give you a fraction of what we gave the other guys, and we want you to have it ready by January. That, like if you have Hiller, Chris, Savan, Rios, I don't know, someone else, Will Brandsetter, and just say, right, you guys go build whatever team you want and do it.
Yeah. Okay. If that's your argument, then you win, and I agree. I would much rather have that be the starting point than professionalize it and make it where everything has to be said before the competition, because I, like you, enjoy seeing the new movements, but neither of those things are happening, right? They're not asking all these great people in the media space to do anything, and that's a problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a problem.
You really thought on that one.
I also think it's funny as well, because like the World Fitness Project, there's sort of, to my mind, seems to be, this isn't what you signed up for, by the way, when you agreed to come on the show, but we're here now.
I love it.
There also seems to be a sort of narrative that if you in any way critique or say, wow, how's that going to work? And geez, I really don't think that's going to hit, you're automatically like against the athletes, or you want the athletes to be poor, or you're trying to take money or food off their plate, or you want the World Fitness Project to fail, or you're a bootlicker, or similarly the other way around. If you want the World Fitness Project to do well, it means that you must hate CrossFit, and you must hate Dave, and you must hate the games, and you must hate the athletes that are going to do the games and stuff. And I think the World Fitness Project has literally walked in and said, all right, we're doing this thing, come like criticize us, come and critique it, come and pick it apart and see what's wrong with it, whatever. And then when people are picking at it and saying like, well, this is a bit weird, like, how the fuck are you going to make any money back? Or like, what happens if that guy that's giving you all the money just says, fuck it, I changed my mind? Like, what do you do then? Or what happens in 12 months time if all the athletes that you signed to these contracts say, okay, yeah, I'll do it again, but I want double? Or like, what happens if a fucking venue pulls out last minute? Like, have you got a contingency plan? But if you ask any of those questions, it's like, oh God, this guy's so fucking negative. He hates the athletes and he wants it to fail and whatever. Like, I don't know. It's just really frustrating that you can't ask any of those kind of questions without just like, oh, here we go. You know, I don't know. And whereas the same people will happily criticize the games. Like if you look at any of the comments on the Albany announcement, the same people that are saying, oh, World Fitness Project is the best thing ever, and there's absolutely nothing, there's no flaws in it. There's no, like, it's financially sound. I can't see a single thread to pull at, are the same people that are going on to the games and being Albany for fuck, you know, like, it's just like ridiculous, I think. I don't know.
I mean, everyone wants to kind of like be a part of something bigger than themselves, and so they would just like go in these little cliques, right? And the people that have always been frustrated by CrossFit are going to obviously jump in with the World Fitness Project, and then vice versa. Those that feel like they're um, the OGs in CrossFit, or like they're loyal to that brand because they've been in it for a long time, or felt, lost 20 pounds, or they got a bunch of PRs in the sport. Like they're going to be diehard CrossFitters. I think it needs to be people maybe like you that are looking at both sides and just criticize. Like that should be the role of the quote unquote CrossFit media, is to criticize both sides, show the weaknesses, show the strengths, ask the tough questions, because what it'll do is it'll strengthen both sides. Like CrossFit will continue to get better if they listen to the feedback, and then the World Fitness Project can continue to get better if they listen to the feedback and not get upset by the criticisms that they may get.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying Albany's better. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just, I'm laughing at the irony of the people that are complaining about Albany are the same people that won't let you complain about the World Fitness Project. Like, you know, like Copenhagen is, oh, it's fucking genius, but Albany is really stupid. And it's like, well, why? But it's funny as well, because I think, like, I don't know, I just don't, I'm like, I want the World Fitness. Oh, I'm pronouncing it better. Okay, yeah, that makes more sense. Yeah. Albany.
Both work though.
Yeah. Albany, as Tyler
Albany.
Watkins said. No, I think I've lost my train of thought there. But yeah, the thing with your camera's gone off there, I think. Maybe your phone died. Are you gone? Oh, he's gone. Maybe his phone died. I mean, we're on an hour and 20 minutes. So maybe his phone died. Let's see if he comes back. But yeah, just to finish my point, I think the thing with the World Fitness Project is that I very much want to do wait and see. And just like, I want it to succeed because in theory it should make the CrossFit Games better. But I'm not going to just say like, yeah, this is brilliant, this is perfect. I'm just not going to do it until I actually see it. Guessing his phone died. He's probably not going to be back. Maybe I should bring up his page one more time just to be nice. Max also cut his access to the internet. That would be harsh, wouldn't it? Oh, I can hear him. There he is. Did your phone die or did you get a call? All good? Oh. Why don't I just bring it up?
Can't hear you.
Oh, I can hear you. Maybe there's no point telling you to turn off your headphones because I'm going to leave a comment on this. Can you hear me now? Good luck. Does that sound sarcastic? Good luck. Oh, look at this. He left. He came back. Oh, can you hear me now?
All right. Boom. Yeah, I don't know
what your headphones are gone.
I think
yeah, I just finished my thought of saying like I want to see the World Fitness Project succeed because in theory it should make the games better. But I'm wary of it and apprehensive. Not wary, that's the wrong word. I'm cautiously optimistic, I'd say, rather than just being like, this is exactly what we need and it's perfect and the athletes are going to definitely benefit and there's no possible downside of any of it. I just don't accept that reality.
Yeah. Well, it's the same thing. It's funny, I don't know if you like talking politics, but it's the same thing with the political realm here in the United States, where everyone draws to one side and then everyone says this is the only way to go. And then they don't ever want to criticize their side. But what would be more beneficial, regardless of what you believe in, is criticize the other side if you disagree, but then criticize your side when you disagree, so that each side can steel man their arguments, their policies, whatever, however they're going to implement those policies and make those better. that's what I mean. Like the same thing can be true about more people can come into the space and build these new competitions or new sports, because fitness, functional fitness training and racing won't go anywhere. And we just need people to continue to challenge each other so that we can find what works best. And I hope it could be CrossFit. Like I would love for that to happen, because they've had a special place in all of our lives, but they can't keep fumbling the ball every year. I think we got to step up, listen to the feedback, and continue to upgrade the product.
ESC says you need better earbuds.
You know what's funny about that? I just got these, and they just like, I've been on multiple calls and they keep falling off. Can you not hear me now? This is just like through the
through the phone.
Yeah.
It's through the phone, but if you should just get some ESC. I'm sure Alexis can hook you up, or Queen Alexis can hook you up.
Queen Alexis, please help.
You so that's live now. Your programming is live now, just to come back full circle. Your programming is live now, and people can access it through, if they search your name, which is on screen, at Redemption Athlete, they can be brought through to your sign up page and everything else. And people from now, is it accurate to say that from now people can sign up for generic style programming or apply for one-on-one style programming too?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm taking on one-on-one athletes, and then obviously with the group program is available now. Just jump in, you log into the app, and then everything's there for you. Obviously, I'm in the app every day, so like each person that comes in, I'm personally reaching out to them, sending them a message, getting to know them, know what their goals are, and then going from there.
Cool. Well, listen, thanks for coming on and giving up, Jesus, an hour and a half nearly. Thanks for coming on. Someone, I think it was Savan actually earlier on, said to like and subscribe. I actually realized that 50% of the people that watch videos on this channel are not subscribed to this channel. So I'd really like those other 50% to subscribe, please. It just means that new people might see the videos and stuff if you like it and subscribe. And go and follow at Redemption Athlete. I just left a comment on one of your posts, your first post. I left a comment saying "good luck!" exclamation mark. And as I hit post, I was like, does that sound sarcastic? Like I was saying good luck. But I mean it genuinely. Good luck with everything. Congrats on everything you achieved with Think Tank, and good luck with everything. I'm sure we'll be having a similar conversation in another 10 years saying how great you've done with Redemption. So good luck.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I love watching your podcast, by the way, and the debate show. That's a lot of fun, especially the people that fumble constantly. Like it's just it's nice knowing that other people can't get their words out.
Hey, I have a slot tomorrow. Do you want to do one tomorrow?
Tell me what time, because I'll be driving down to Florida later in the afternoon.
Same time. Like I think it's 3 Eastern. That's probably too late for you if you're driving.
I'll text you after this. I may be able to make it work. Yeah.
Yeah, I asked you live so that you might be forced. You might feel like peer pressure to do it, but thank you.
I know better.